Hello everybody, how's it going? Hope you're all doing well. Welcome to the day 3 of St. Louis Rapid and Blitz. Today Alireza played against Fabiano Caruana, against Pragg, and in the last round, the key game of the day against Aronian. You don't want to miss that. Let's start with the 7th round against Fabiano with the black pieces. Fabiano started with e4, Alireza played pawn to e5, very solid, symmetrical. Knight f3, knight c6, we have the classic Spanish opening or Ruy Lopez. Knight f6, we have Berlin defense by Alireza, and Fabiano plays castle, the main line. You can also avoid Berlin or anti-Berlin with d3. He played castle, knight takes pawn, very natural, and here very solid move, rook e1. The main Berlin endgame arises after these moves, this famous Berlin endgame. But okay, Fabiano played rook e1, knight d6, and here he played a very rare move, pawn to a4, guarding the bishop. Normally they take on e5 or they play bishop a4. Knight e5 is the main move, but a4 is a very rare move. You can play it for only one game, special games. So, but black has to be, as we will see, has to be very well prepared. You cannot do whatever you want. Bishop e7, the best move. And here Fabi plays knight to c3. These are all prepped. a6, attacking the bishop. Bishop goes back. And as you can see, this pawn is gone. You cannot really hang on to it, because if you want to defend it, like f6, your pieces are going to be very passive, and white is going to have huge activity for the pawn. So Alireza just give it up. I don't want it. I just want to have symmetrical position, d5 on the board, and activity of the pieces. Bishop g4, pinning the knight, h3, bishop h5, bishop e2. These are all prep and analyzed by both players. It's already been played also against, I think, Levon and Giri in Dusseldorf, if I'm not mistaken. Castle d4 and bishop d6. Here, bishop d6 is a slight inaccuracy. Main move here is actually rook e8. There is a bit difference, because with the bishop on d6, there's knight e5, very good move, and take. The difference is if you take the knight, take, and there is a small the bishop is misplaced, you lose a tempo, and it makes a lot of difference at this level. You have to move the bishop again, and white gets a lot of tempo, momentum in this theory. So that's why the bishop is a bit misplaced. But with the rook on e8, and then if you play knight e5, I can just take, and like queen d7, queen e6, rook d8, black is completely fine. Okay, bishop d6 is not the end of the world. Take, rook e8, and actually here rook e8 is a very nice move by Alireza. He thought a lot here, 4 minutes, and found the best move, kind of, because you should be careful. Take, d4. To me, it looked very tempting, but okay, suddenly you can see this queen comes to g3. Bishop is very active. This bishop is very powerful. So another way was knight e7, but okay, I mean, this knight, it's really hard to kick it out. For example, like if you play rook e8 here, c3, f6, suddenly you're just worse, because queen b3 is also coming, and the e6 got weak. So it's not easy. It was not easy. Rook e8, you have to accept that your pawn's structure get damaged, but still you're solid, and this bishop is probably worse than this bishop. Queen e4, queen d2, and here Fabi has a better position, actually, because of the pawn structure of black. Rook e8 here was a bit inaccuracy. Rook b8 was better, but whatever. Rook e1 is annoying anyways. Rook e1 is coming, and here if you play f5, there is queen c3, bishop d2. So rook e6, and I kind of didn't understand this. Maybe rook g6, but there is always bishop g5 and back rank. Alireza should be really careful here, but he is probably preparing something, maybe h6, stuff like that. Queen c3 here. Actually here best move was to go king f1 to guard the rook. For example, here if you play b3 or rook e2, computer suggests g5, because there's a pin down the e file, and you want to break use this hook to attack the king. And also there is no back rank issue for black. So Bobby played queen c3 to attack the pawn, but for the moment you cannot because there is check. And here he missed the move. Queen c3, I don't know what was the purpose of this move, because it's still queen g6 is still not possible because of rook g6, bishop g5. You get back ranked, you cannot take the bishop. And yeah, here he missed the move, c5. He got shocked here, he thought a lot, and he played king f1, which was a very good move. He could also take, but there is d4, because the rook is, this bishop is pinned, and there is some problems, but still it's equal. Queen c4, bishop f4, and there is only move here for white, rook d1 to use the back rank. But okay, he chose simpler way, king f1. Alireza uses this opportunity to get some space, and bishop d2, exchange of pawns and exchange of rooks. This position looks very equal, but again, white has better chances because the king got a bit weak, and also this pawn on a6 is actually weakness, and this pawn is also more advanced. If this pawn was not here, it's kind of dangerous, so it's easier to play with white. And as we will see, Fabi is really putting pressure on this pawn on a6, bishop e3, g6, bishop d2, queen d4, attacking the bishop. And in this position, Alireza, they have both 1 minute on the clock, decides to give check here, which leads to a losing endgame. And here Fabiano plays the bad move, only move here for white here to win the position. You can pause it if you can find it. Only way, only plan here is king e3 first. You don't want to allow black's king inside at all, and also black doesn't have time to play g5 to stop e4, because the king is already coming to e4 or d4. So very important move here, which would have led to white's winning position, and f4, like king d5, f4, and then g4. So he missed this opportunity. He played g4 first, and now king d5. You have no more chances to get d4 ever, f4 ever, because if you go king e3, you have check, and you cannot go to e4. Bishop d2, bishop c5, and bishop g5, bishop c5. Yeah, if you don't get f4, there is nothing for you, even though my pawn structure is damaged. And yeah, all the efforts leads to nowhere. Black is just super solid. That was his only chance. Uses this as a decoy to get access to f6, and this endgame is completely equal, and they agreed to a draw after 66 moves, which leads us to the second game of the day against Pragg Ananda. Pragg started with d4, d5, again symmetrical. Alireza plays c4, c6, and here is actually very funny to me, because probably he had a bad tournament and he just want to be solid. But okay, taking on d5, where in a situation you need to win, it's a bit strange. Knight c3, knight c6. And here Alireza is looking for some action, actually. Otherwise he could play just knight f6. I don't know why he played knight c6. Knight f6 is just more natural. You control e4 square. He played knight c6. Probably he's provoking Pragg to do more actions, not boring game, and he allows e4 here, and he was not even aware of what is the best move here. He took on e4, which is not the best move, allowing d5. I mean, still fine, but you should not play knight e5. You have to play knight b8, which looks weird, but okay. The best move here was to play knight f6, e5, knight e4, and bishop b5. Normally the game continues like this was the line. But okay, he was not aware of it. He just took on e4, d5, knight e5, queen a4, check. Or maybe he forgot, I don't know. And bishop d7, queen e4, knight g6, knight f3. Actually, knight f3 is a very strange move by Pragg, which shows his next couple of moves shows that he's not on form at all, because black's only resource to dislodge all of these pieces, activate all of these pieces, is e6. You should stop it. Like bishop c4 had a huge advantage for white, and then put the knight on f3, because my only chance to activate this bishop is not possible anymore. So knight f3 looks very natural, but it's not good, because it's not prophylaxis. Knight f6, queen d4, again a strange move because queen on e3 was better because e6 was harder to execute. Queen d4, e6 easily, and actually Alireza got out of the bad position actually. Bishop b4, bishop b5 check, very natural move. King e7 without the queens on the board. Castling is not very important. Short castle, h6. Actually here rook hd8 to me was much more principled, looked much more natural. He played h6, knight e6, and in this position he found the best move, but okay, it was a computerish move, but the continuation was very hard. Okay, this bishop very valuable. That's why he took his time. I mean, to me it looked like just take the knight with very natural, but okay, white has 2 bishop advantage. He didn't want to give him this opportunity. He took the pawn, and he calculated very nicely, Alireza, that knight g5, rook h5, there is problem down on the 5th rank, and f4, there is knight f4. So, but Pragg took on g7, and here it's going to be a bit complicated. Maybe knight h4 was the best move to control f5, king f8, but Alireza goes for this bishop c3 and knight d5, which looks very natural. I mean, ruining pawn structure, king f6, going to trap the knight actually. But okay, the king has problems apparently. For example, this was the best move, and if you go king f6, there's knight e8 check. The bishop is guarding here, and you gotta sack an exchange. But anyways, he played c4, knight c3, rook check, king f8, not king f6, same reason. Knight f5, a6, and here he made mistake. In this position, it was better to attack the knight. It was not easy. Alireza had a very nice move, knight f4, and these knights are tricky actually. King h1 he had to find, which was very hard. Bishop d7, and now rook d8, and this bishop doesn't have any square, which means you gotta exchange it with this knight. You don't want that. And what it happened, you gotta exchange these 2 minor pieces, which leads to a much easier position for black, even giving up this pawn. Knight e5, black is down a pawn, but this knight is better than this knight. It's attacking and it's defending, and black's king is also more active. He wants f5. g4 was very nice move. King f6, king e6. We bring the king towards this pawn. Knight g6, and in this position, knight g6 was a very nice move. Computer thought for the moment it's very good for white, but it dropped. Like, the knight is so active here. King d3, king d4, just king d6. Knight f5, king c6. You just guard the rook, and rook a3. The best line was something weird, like knight here, f6, knight g8, going after this pawn. Was not easy anyways. He thought a lot and he couldn't find it as well. And yeah, this knight bothered Pragg's king. And okay, these are all natural. I'm going to show you at the end what happened in this game. King b4. Okay, Pragg decides to go for this sharp line to bank on this pawn. He gives up the knight, but he has too much pawns. Rook e7, rook c7, f4, king c4. Look at this. This is going to be very interesting at the end. Knight e5, king h4. Actually, here after knight e5, all the moves are easy draw, like king f4, like king g3. These are all, or even king h5. Kind of easy draw, I think. Because you want just g6 and exchange the pawn and draw this. But when you go king h4, there is a trick in the position which Alireza didn't find. You can, I mean, maybe he thought about it, but okay, he just was satisfied with the draw here because he was under pressure as well the whole game. But okay, it was not easy as well. You can pause the video and find it. It was not winning, but white had to play only move because this king and could get in mating net. Rook c6 actually. Rook c6, and white should play only move here. If you take, you can never draw this because I'm not going to exchange a pawn here, like f6. But okay, Rook c6, there's rook h6. Rook h6, you just face the rook, and after king d5, again, only move g6, and king e4, again, there is only move here for white. So Alireza could try this actually, because this is just so tricky for white. There's only move for white to draw this, because king f4 is coming, king f5 is coming, and a lot of the time, there are amazing mating nets here. The king g3 is only move to escape with the king and make sure these two pawns get exchanged. And here, for example, if you play f6, there is g7, and is going to be draw. But okay, he played king d5, g6, and exchange, and ended in a draw, which leads us to the main game of the day against Levon Aronian. Let's take a look at this game. Alireza played e4, e6, d4, d5, knight c3, bishop b4, win-over. French win-over is my favorite as well. I play it a lot. e5, c5, a3, and here I always take, and recently my favorite line is queen a5, bishop d2, queen a4, but a lot of the time I play like this as well, queen g4, and you sack the pawn on g7. So it's very thematic to sack g7 and h7 for queen side counterattack. So, but here there is another move, bishop a5, which is more rare, but nowadays everything is possible if you're well analyzed. So this line it was not supposed to be good because of b4. You attack the bishop and take on d4 and queen g4. Recently it got refuted like this, but it's still playable. King f8, queen d4 here, and queen f4. White is better, but Levon wanted to play this actually, so probably he was analyzing it. But Alireza plays queen g4 first, attacking the pawn instead of b4, and probably it's a good move. But after knight e7, it's not anymore the same theme. You cannot play b4 here. He played b4 and confused actually. In this line, you have to take on c5. You have to take on c5, like castle here, and it leads to completely different positions, which is still good for white. Two bishop, the pawn structure got damaged, but you have two bishop, active queen. This bishop is still bad. It's complete different story. And after b4, there is big difference. The queen is not on d1. Probably Alireza expected him to take on d4 because it could arise in this position as well, knight e7, but the best move is king f8. But anyways, he mixed the move orders, knight e7, and he played b4 here, and here the best move is just to take back and accept that you made mistake and play bishop d2. But okay, he thought it's the same thing and played knight b5 and allowed b3. And here actually after 8 moves, black has -2 advantage. The difference is, in those lines when you play b4, if black takes on b4, here checked c3, queen takes b3 is the next move, like knight c6, queen takes b3. But now there is no queen on d1 to take on b3, and c3 makes no sense. So Alireza played bishop d2. Bishop c3 actually was a move, but bishop d2 makes more sense. Exchange, and the king cannot go castle anymore. Knight f5, a slight inaccuracy gives actually white some target. It was better to just go castle, not giving any target to white even, and leave this king alone. But now there are some target, because if you go castle now, I can go queen h3, and I can kick out this g4. Levon didn't like it. He played h5, decided to kick out this queen with h5, g5, which is very thematic in French lines as well. Okay, now, I mean, it's -2, but it actually winning it's completely different story, because still black, white is solid. The king is only cannot go castle. The center is closed, but the center is closed. It's not easy to break through. 3-6-7, 3-6-8. Black is momentarily up a pawn. Queen to f3, bishop to d7. Again, he's not playing the best moves, like a6, bishop f5, take the knight, removing this knight from this world, and making this king weaker was better idea. He played bishop d7, knight d2, take on c2, and Alireza here plays knight c3. He's really guarding his king with all the minor pieces very nicely. Alireza is playing all the top moves after that mistake. Knight h4 is the only move to keep the advantage, because if I take it, then knights are the best friends for the king. We don't need the bishop. So, and this knight is kind of menacing our king. We are ready to take it and put pressure on d5. Knight h4, queen g3, knight c6, f4 here, trying to counterattack on the king as well, with the rooks. My king is apparently just safe here for the moment. Rook g8 and knight b5. Impulsive move here, going for this check on e6, d6, but the king is alone, and in this position Levon was completely winning. He had 13 minutes on the clock. He didn't find the best move. He didn't think a lot. 30 seconds. He played knight a5. He missed the opportunity to give check here, because now you want to come back, you lose a tempo. What do you want to do? If you take the pawn, Levon probably thought there is no rook c8 because there is knight d6 check, but there is knight f5. And if you take the knight, there is queen takes b5, and the king is naked here actually. Rook c8 is coming, and this is completely winning for black. So he missed this chance. Knight a5, knight d6, king f8. And again, Alireza make mistake here. Knight b3, check is coming. He saved his rook, but not in a good square. It was better to keep the rook around the king, like rook here, and take the pawn. You cannot go there because of check. Rook f1, it's a mistake because of knight f5. It doesn't allow you to attack on f7, and this rook cannot be activated anymore. And this king is again getting weaker and weaker. Queen c3, and here Levon finds a very nice move, rook to g6, preparing the king to g8, to the safety. Queen b4, king g8, knight b7 here. And in this position, Levon kind of have been kind of stingy. He didn't really want to lose the pawn on d5, which was not very important. Just if I take, it just makes my king weaker. So rook b6, rook b5, queen b6, I don't know, just giving all the pawns and attacking the king was more active. He played rook c6 and rook c1. Suddenly Alireza is activating all of his pieces. It's still completely winning for black, but it's getting harder. Rook b8, he's giving up this pawn very correctly. Rook c4, his idea, I don't know. He played rook c4 like after rook c2. Maybe his idea is bishop a4 to guard this pawn, or just trying to trap this queen somehow. That's why he played rook c2. But as we will see, his main idea was to play bishop c6 actually here, which completely bad move here. Actually, black could win, but with only moves, which was not super hard, I think. But okay, Alireza was defending very well, very precisely. All of his moves was very precise, and here black could win like this. Rook e8 only move, and then check, and then if you go here, the queen comes, and actually here again, rook b8 only move, queen a7, and then rook b2, king goes there, and bishop b5 only move. So it was not easy. You have to attack the king like this. But okay, he played bishop c6, and here actually Alireza just takes the rook and then bring another rook, and this knight is actually best friend for the king, guards everything, and there is nothing, absolutely nothing. When you have a knight around your king, it's very, very good. And now suddenly his king is weak. Queen e4, king d2, and here after g4 allows perpetual, which Alireza didn't even think about going for queen h5, which he could, but okay, draw in this game is a miracle already. So that was the rapid portion. Miraculous save by Alireza. He just incredible save. I really enjoyed that. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Yeah, 3 draws here. He joins the leaders with NBL. Actually, he lost the last round against, not NBL, Nepo. He lost the last round against Fabiano. So Jan and Alireza, they have 11 points, with Maxime as well 11 points. Levon again on the second place. So tomorrow we have a Blitz tournament. Let's see what happens. He's sharing the leaders now. He's in the first place. Let's see what happens. It's going to be so much fun to watch the Blitz portion. Hope you guys enjoyed my recaps for the Rapid. And thank you guys for watching. Thank you for your support. Make sure to like the video and comment and subscribe. So see you guys in the next videos for the Blitz portion, hopefully. Thank you. Ciao, ciao.